representatives of the ministry, distinguished teachers, dear students, and all audience who are experiencing the climate change. I would like to welcome you all to the Zero Energy Conference. We would like to thank you all for being with us in this event. In order to raise awareness about this event in Turkey, we organized this event for the first time a few years ago now. It is the second event that we are having, and our theme is to act now. It is the energy, the CO2 emissions, etc. And in this respect, development strategies are important for us. In recent years, zero energy buildings are important as regards to the using this energy and the biodiversity problems, and also it is considered an objective, or it's paid attention. In this respect, zero energy buildings are important, especially for the class and decrease the energy. And we are talking about the renewable energy. There are two main strategies. Energy is important for us, and also for us, the photovoltaic and also building envelopes are important. Wind turbines, solar energy, geothermal energy, and also heat pumps, and also location-based infection. While we are forming the strategies, we need to pay attention to the optimum energy so that we can reduce the energy loss. And we should be able to get energy from the closest energy. And also we should look at the costs and also climate change and also social policies. These are other important issues. Of course, change is not an easy task, and it requires a lot of efforts from our side. But zero energy buildings are important to revitalize economy after the pandemic, and it is important for Turkey, and also it deals with the lack of energy so that no one is left behind. There is a huge network of volunteers who has worked on this issue, and we are organizing this event, and in the next 5 days we will listen to people from different parts of the Turkey. UN SDGs are important for us, and in this forum we will listen to ministries, local administrations, civil society organizations, academics, etc. And we will also talk about Green Deal, its impact on Turkey and certification, etc. And we will also listen to the energy financing and also certification of the energy, and also photovoltaic to buildings, measurements and verification, and also energy performance. These are the topics for the second day. On the third day, we will listen to SAPER, and we will talk about the certificates which are in different typologies, and we will go into details. On the fourth day, we will have this event, and we will listen to academics and also experts, and also we will talk about zero energy, and we will organize this event, ZeroBuild Academy, and we will listen to real events and also useful activities. And our aim is to talk about this issue and how these high school teachers can convey this knowledge and share their knowledge with students in the shortest period. And on the last day of our forum, we will talk about transformation in buildings in the period of pandemic, and also what do we need as regards to the materials, and also what do we need for high quality. And we will listen to this type of presentations. In the final forum, we will have university students and also academics, and there will be two campaigns, and I wish you all you will be with us, and we are looking for having young people with us. And also, this forum's 24th of September, which is the date of Climate Change Action Day, and we are supporting this action. Of course, we have supporting organizations and also sponsors, and also actors, and we have more than 20 actors, and also our main sponsor is Dünya newspaper. We would like to thank you all. Now, I would like to give floor to our esteemed panelists. First of all, we have colleagues from the Mr. Murat Bayram is from the Republic of Turkey, Ministry of Environment and Urbanization, the General Directorate of Vocational Service, Head of Department Energy and Efficiency Installation. He worked as a research assistant, and then he worked there in 2010-2020. Between 2008 and 2010, he worked as the Deputy Manager of Energy Efficiency Buildings within the General Directorate of Construction Affairs. Between 2011, he served as the Head of Department in Energy Efficiency Department established under the same Directorate General. After 2011, he is the Head of the Department Energy Efficiency and Installation within the General Directorate of Services. He also acts as the Head of Building Materials Department by proxy. He works on issues related to energy efficiency in buildings and fire protection of buildings. Yes, over to you. Good morning, everyone. Thanks a lot. First of all, I would like to wish that ZeroBuild will be a fruitful event for everyone. Hope that it will be a useful event for all of us. And we are going to follow the outcomes of the event. Last year, when you had the first conference, we focused on the buildings and also energy efficiency and zero built energies and zero CO2 and also almost zero build energies. And we discussed all these concepts last year. These are the current concepts that we are dealing. We as the ministry, we have this law on energy, and this is our legislation. First of all, we have this energy identity certification. As we all know, in line with the EU directives, and it's the practice that we have energy performance certificate. And since 2011, we are asking buildings to obtain energy performance certificates. New buildings are obliged to obtain this energy performance certificate. If they do not obtain, then there is no way to obtain even the registration. That means they cannot build that building. And also, although it's not an obligation within the legislation, we ask even the buildings, existing buildings, to apply. We can, of course, monitor what is happening there. And we can also audit and also control the current status of buildings. And we are also, since we are monitoring and tracking all these issues by means of a software program, which was developed by our building, and so we are tracking all these buildings, and more than 1.3 million buildings obtain these energy performance certificates. So it is not individual houses, it is the buildings. And About 900,000 of them are new buildings, and about 400,000 of them are the buildings that were built earlier. So that we can easily intervene if needed. And we are planning to amend the legislation soon. The second issue is, in fact, which is one of the topics for today. It is the buildings with almost zero energy. And our target is, so each country is going to identify its buildings which are in the category of zero, almost zero building, but we need to reflect it in the legislation so that it will come into force. We are currently drafting the documents. So it will be, we are planning to complete it by the last quarter of this year or the first quarter of next year. And we have already published our roadmap for this issue. Our target is, our priority is, we have selected building types which we have decided according to our priorities. So it will not be a utopian selection, but it will be in line with our realities. So we don't have a target to replicate what is already in Germany. However, we aim to create our own system. So it will be feasible and tangible. We have two parameters here. So we set up a limit for energy consumption, and the second issue is that these buildings will have to use renewable energy. And they can easily have it through their energy. So if you have these nearly zero buildings, then it needs to be approved by us, and there will be a logo on your building. That means it will be renewed every year. So if it is issued in 2020, then the logo will indicate that it is 2020. But if you obtain it in 2025, then your logo will demonstrate that it is 2025. It will enable us to monitor and track your capacity. Our experts can easily direct you there, and it is important for us. So we have an action in this respect, and I think it will be a good one to monitor for us. And last point is that I would like to share. Green buildings, which is another topic for us, or sustainable buildings. This green and sustainable buildings, as you all know, we have issued a regulation. We worked on it for a long period, and about 3-4 months ago, and we have established our national green energy certificate, and we have published them on our official Gazette, and we have also developed a software program for the green certificates. Since we do not have enough staff and experts to use this software program, we need to improve the capacity of our staff. And we also began working with the Istanbul Technical University, because Istanbul Technical University applied to us to be the trainer of this certification program and the software program. So we examined its application and we signed a protocol. Of course, we received some other applications from different universities and we are currently examining them. And when we examine all of them, then these universities might be the trainers as well, which will accelerate the process. Most probably, we will begin these trainings by the end of this year, and we have trainings which will certificate our experts, and then our software program will reach its full capacity. There is a external evaluator, and they will apply to this organization, and the institution, which has its own organization, uh, its own staff for the evaluation, and it has different and specific department for sustainability, environment. It will also show us if the building is eligible for the certification. That is the process how we will achieve it. We as the ministry, we will not be part of the green certification process. The training institution will be universities or civil society organizations. Evaluation, as the legislation says, evaluation will be carried out by universities or civil society organizations. The ministry's sole role will be the facilitator. And we will just check if there is any issue. So we will be like an organization to monitor what is happening at the overall level so that we can get an idea about its developments or improvements in the future. That is our objective. That's what we are planning to do. Hope that it will be useful for our country. And this event is very important for us. As I said, we are going to follow the outcomes of this conference because it is important for our legislation and also for the implementation phase of the activities. And these are the activities that you will discuss that will feed us. In this respect, I would like to thank all the participants for their support, because the outcomes of these conference is very important. I'm sure that it will be a fruitful event. So I would like to extend my greetings to you all, to the organizing team in my personal capacity and also on behalf of my organization. I'm sure it will be very useful. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Murat Bey, for sharing this useful information. We are also excited about your future activities and also upcoming initiatives. I'm sure we are all eager to learn more from your side. This Dr. Abdullah Buran Karaveli, he's from the Republic of Turkey, Ministry of Energy and Natural Resources, Head of Department of Energy and Efficiency and Environment. He studied at Middle East Technical University, and his MA thesis was awarded as the best MA thesis of that year, and also his PhD was awarded as well. He worked as the EU experts for the EU, and in August 2019 and 2020, he worked as he began working as the Dr. Karaveli has been heading the Energy Efficiency and Environment Department at the Turkish Ministry of Energy and Natural Resources since February 2021. I would like to thank you all, and I would like to extend my greetings to you, and thanks for your kind invitation. It is important to have this event because this event is taking place in a period that we are dealing with all these issues, and we are discussing all these issues at the country level and also at the country level, so, and at the global level. So it's a very important event. The UN General Council General Assembly just be held, and also there will be G20 summits at the end of October, and also there will be climate change issues. And yesterday, our dear president needs to be, and there is also for carbon neutral, and it will be a very good event. When we talk about carbon neutral, so it is about all the activities for any economy, and it is about for the forestry and all these activities. And it requires substantial changes and structural changes. There is also a need for a financing system that is in line with this. And buildings are at the center of this. All these activities, buildings play a crucial role in this respect. And also when we talk about buildings, it is about houses, corporations, public institutions. This is why it requires a substantial and a structural change. This is why we have to evolve into a system that is in line with these standards. So we need to begin, we need to initiate the change from the very beginning. And there is need for the solar energy and other type of passive energies. And also we need to look at the life cycle and also the footprint of these materials that we are using in our buildings. And also when we enter into the buildings, we should look at, and we need to use the maximum energy and optimum benefit from all this. And we will discuss some of these issues more in the future, for example, shopping malls, hospitals, etc. And we will pay attention to these issues if we are talking about big campuses that will be location-based heating systems, for example, and it will be in line with the EU projections. And also electrification is important for our buildings as well, and certification is important for us. These are structural changes. And some of these issues are technically feasible, and from technological perspectives, there is still a lot to do. And it also provides new opportunities for us. So and these technology development and also entrepreneurship are important for us, and they can easily work on these issues because in the next 30 years period, they can work on it and they can build their career here. Of course, in addition to this structural change, there is also need for changing our behavior. That means you may have technology, you may have your policies, but unless you use them, unless you adopt them in your daily life, it means almost nothing because the end users are important. And some devices, for example, if you use some devices much more than you need, then it creates certain waste of energy and it creates certain problems as regards to the energy consumption. And there is this automation system, and it also shows the change, especially during the pandemic periods. Digitalization is very important, and when we define this technology, we were talking about these issues, and the pandemic made an impact on the end users' behavior because although it was possible and feasible even before the pandemic, people were reluctant. And digitalization is very important for us, and there is also a need for automation system. That's what we are going to see. And for startups or entrepreneurs, you may take this message that you can build your career in this area. We as the ministry, we are providing incentives to the manufacturing sector. And in our new term, and we are changing the model, and also there is this sectoral expansion. I just listed the technologies and the buildings which are using these technologies that I just listed are important. And these buildings will be supported by our ministry. And these incentives and supports from the ministry will make the payback period, which is already short, will make the payback period shorter and more attractive. And of course, public buildings, which will be part of these requirements. And we have 2023 period, and we aim to save energy up to 15% within next 3 years period, and there will be audits and also controls this. Of course, we are also developing models, and the current model is the energy performance, and in the next period we are going to analyze them in a better way. And the owner of the building or the manager of the building can still build this model without making any investments. And of course, the energy companies and also building companies, constructors and contractors will also benefit from this. And there is a big market, and we have a very active market, vibrant market in this respect. So if we attract the financing department, we can make a change.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abdullah, for this valuable information. Minister of National Education, General Directorate of Construction and Real Estate, Head of Monitoring, Evaluation and Coordination Department, Musa Rahmanlar, was born in 1985 in Istanbul. He graduated from Boğaziçi University Civil Engineering Department in 2006. He worked as a research assistant at Boğaziçi University between 2006 and 2011, as a planning specialist at the State Planning Organization between 2011 and 2018. And between 2018 and 2021, he worked as a specialist at the Ministry of National Education. As of 2021, he continues to work as the head of the Department of the Ministry of National Education. He took part in the Sustainable Development Task Force, contributed to the reports, and represented our country in international meetings, together with the coordination task of drinking water and investment in State Planning Organization. The floor is yours, Mr. Musa. I would like to thank you for inviting us to such an organization. Actually, as the Ministry of Education, we are both in the education and production aspects or stages. I want to show also our projects. If that's fine, I would like to share them with our participants. Please.
Şu an gözükebiliyor mu? Ekranı görebiliyor musunuz?
Can you see now? Can you see my screen? I would like to refer to the concept of development first. In the 1970s, 80s, we were talking about growth, and then we've seen the intersection of the development of the society. And now, in today's terms, we're talking about humans, environment, and society, which are all actually overlapping with each other. So for the Sustainable Development Goal, starting with 2012, Turkey supported all these efforts. by creating working groups, and we actually played a role in the creation of these sustainable development roles, the sustainable development goals in many areas. And we are one of the 22 countries to have prepared national reports about these goals. So they are not new concepts for us. Although our activities are related to three components, including clean energy, we know that they are all interconnected. Education underpins all of them, and all other components are also related to education. We have 10 goals and 11 indicators related to clean energy and uh, social life. Actually, we used an analogy of a cube here to explain that they are all interconnected and that we cannot resolve any issue without referring to all of them at once in a collective way. So when we think about green energy, when we think about sustainable buildings, we cannot ignore education, and uh, we cannot actually go all the way to 2030. As the Ministry of National Education, our problems might seem to be standalone ones, but actually we have seen that they are intertwined. When you do, for example, reinforcement for earthquakes, you need to renew a building, or you need to actually resolve all educated issues uh, at once. When we look at best practice examples, we have a disaster plan, disaster program. Certain buildings need to be strengthened, and some others need to be reconstructed. That's why we started to conduct exhaustive projects as the ministry, so that we can take quick steps. And we demolished the ones that required reconstruction. And we have been carrying on other relevant efforts. And we benefited from the European Union grants, our national resources, as we created these modern schools. We generally want them to be visible, because when you refer to a ministry school, people think of actually uh, sort of low level buildings. But now we have very efficient projects in terms of energy efficiency and other areas. Here we use some our own resources and some also some grants. And here we manufactured these projects by ourselves. Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Musa. Your voice is a little low. Can you get closer to the microphone? How is it now? It's really well now. My apologies. As I stated, our projects are more modern, coming with energy efficiency and in line with the concepts of green buildings, both with our own means and the services we acquire from outside. Also, we do repairs for our current buildings, and we pay attention to energy efficiency. For example, we try to transition from coal to natural gas, and we try to turn the window frames to aluminum or other efficient materials. So actually, we have uh, three energy efficiency projects. We completed one of them. Two of them are ongoing. Actually, we use our resources as well as benefiting from the EU grants. We have solar energy structures on top of 120 schools, so they are able to supply energy to themselves. Also, we had energy efficiency efforts in 41 schools, and we had 25% savings. Our goal is to ensure that we can move to natural gas usage in the schools that need them, or provide other solutions to the best of our abilities. These are actually Gaziantep examples. In addition to having a modern school structure, we placed solar energy panels on top of the roof. They meet the energy requirements of the school, as well as providing lighting illumination for other units like uh, gym hall and uh, gardens. I think our Director General was the inauguration ceremony yesterday. So we believe that it is going to provide many benefits. And we are trying to install these panels on top of every possible building. Also, the geographical information system was put in place in June 2019. Here, the main purpose is to ensure that our buildings benefit from renewable energy. And the biggest advantage of the system is to ensure that every uh, request from schools, every request from schools is communicated to our division. We collect them and try to come up with solutions. Also, we have another project initiative called Education Structure Projects. And here we create new education structure projects with our architects and engineers. First, we comply with the standards and then create the project so that we can make every student, enable every student to access energy efficient buildings. Also, we benefit from our geographical system, and while taking into account our disabled, disadvantaged students, and of course, these buildings comply with fire and other standards. So without the project approval, we do not let those buildings be produced. So we try to come up with buildings with high energy efficiency. Let me move on to this one. Sorry, says the speaker. Actually, educational factor is within every component. As I stated earlier, we can think of these concepts as a cube. Without providing solution to one problem, we cannot come up with great solutions to other problems. We want to set a good model as the Energy Ministry of National Education by saying we have green buildings, we have energy efficiency buildings. We say we pay great attention to our energy savings, and the next generation should pay attention to that. I mean, a person with a bad habit might say, don't do this, but that is not influential as the general understanding goes. That's why we try to set an example to our society with these concrete examples. Also, the savings communique issued by the presidency actually put uh, energy efficiency projects to the forefront, although it is addressed under the title of energy efficiency or energy savings. That would be all from my side, from the perspective of the Ministry of National Education. It is a great honor to participate in a workshop like this. We'll be following up on the developments, hopefully. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this valuable knowledge. The buildings are not there just for accommodation purposes. As you said, they turn into structures that contribute to education. Thank you very much again. Ali Gizer, the founder director of G Alliance Sustainability Consulting. He worked as a lecturer at IU Faculty of Communication. With his researcher identity, he has been a manager, consultant, and trainer in many private sector organizations. In his 30 years of professional life, he served as a lecturer at İstanbul, Yeditepe, İstanbul Aydın, and Bahçeşehir universities. Currently, he provides research, sustainability, and strategic management consultancy services through AG Platform and GT Alliance UK companies, which he founded, and consultancy organizations he actively supports. For the last decade, he has been serving in the preparation and reporting of the sustainability policies and strategies of many national and international companies in the leading positions in the industry development. He is a member of 12th SOMAR, Web for World Association for Public Opinion Research, TÜRKİM, Calder, Turkey Quality Association, and BTBA, British and Turkish Business Association. Mr. Ali Gizer is married with 2 daughters. The floor is yours, Mr. Ali Gizer. I thank you, Ms. Yasemin. I would like to greet all the other panelists and participants and audience. I wish all of you healthy days. The explanations by Mr. Abdullah, Mr. Musa, and Murat actually show the amount of progress made in Turkey, and these are the living spaces we all use, and the way we use technology is important in terms of our success in these intersections. Just as Mr. Musa highlighted and other speakers rightly stated, our children studies at these universities, and seeing these examples of energy efficiency gives them an idea about the relationship between humanity and the planet, as well as the sort of issues we face. That will be a reminder to them, and that will be reflected in all our actions. Actually, we need energy in our every move, and other than the sun, actually, we are stealing from the resources of our energy in this energy consumption phenomenon. That's why, as we regulate energy, we regulate our relationship with the planet. And urban structures are the dialogue spaces for humans. And starting with the smallest units of buildings, we need to carry on this dialogue accordingly. In the introduction, Ms. Yasemin referred to 10 goals, and Mr. Musa said that we actually contact 17 goals, and I agree with him. We cannot think of these goals as separate from each other, because when we reach 2030, people cannot say we had 17 goals, but actually we just caught up with 6 of them or 7 of them. The remaining will be achieved in 2040, 2050. So we need to have this collective approach and collective participation in them. And I think in this 5-day meeting, this issue needs to be addressed by the people from the economic background, financial background as well. Otherwise, we cannot possible a different perspective. Let me refer to actually the necessity of thinking about these 17 goals altogether. Actually, starting with 1996, Turkey has been a part of the sustainability issue, starting with the Habitat II conference. So we are a participant of these sustainability discussions since then, and although the world might not be aware of it, we have actually substantial amount of knowledge in terms of sustainability, but it is not that visible on the international level. As Mr. Abdullah stated, Turkey is sometimes uh, pushed towards solitude, and after the visit to the ministries, the relevant official said that Turkey is coming up with great surprises. And in the period, the financial industry changed its sustainability approach, and it announced that it is going to support investments if they are in line with the sustainability approach, ensuring that we make a significant progress in Turkey. But we should remind in every session that the business world will not be able to make these preparations accordingly. Now, moving on to the sustainable development goals, we are not talking about 17 different titles. We are talking about interconnected uh, concepts. Yes, here, how we realize these targets matters all the more. And it starts actually with healthy individuals. In the sustainable development goals, they are addressed as an important component. And if we cannot achieve sustainable development goals, and we can say that it is a possibility considering that everyone is living in their homes for the last 3 years. So we need to actually look them as a risk. It says healthy individuals. We're talking about environmental pollution, air pollution, and that can actually help us create a relationship between individuals. After that, we see a relationship with the urban areas. Here, the resources of agricultural areas are actually exploited by the urban structures. You may think of it as positively or negatively, but starting with water, the agricultural fields are actually agricultural resources are channeled towards the city. Here we need to end the poverty, which is goal number one. It says everyone should be able to actually access income. And here, what we need? We need a decent economic growth area. What does it contribute? What does it contradict? It contradicts with the use of the resources. So, in terms of the use of resources, what we need actually we need innovation, understanding, strong infrastructures, so that this growth can take place in a healthy way. When we say growth, we also know that here action comes into place. We need to generate energy, but we cannot do it in the conventional sense. We need to create a renewable energy understanding. And that is not enough either. Here, it is not enough to produce energy from renewable resources. We should also make them accessible. So, three targets. Actually, need to be resolved out of the six. How can we resolve them? Well, we need to have power. And here, what to do is look at quality education. And it requires an holistic structure. And we need to ensure that the building element is an important part of it too. And here occupational trainings can be also included. We considering that we're going to have around a 10 billion population, we cannot achieve sustainability only with limitation to a certain number of people. Everyone needs to be a part of it, including women, and urban structures should also ensure that it provides mobility among other segments of the society. Will that all resolve the issue? No, actually here humanity also needs to get rid of inequalities and discriminations. 17% of the global population is categorized as disabled or physically challenged. So urban structures should actually cover these individuals too. If we do all this, then we can ensure sustainable living spaces and cities to be built. And how can we ensure that these 12 targets can be achieved? Well, with good administration. And all these targets are related to humans. If we can accomplish all of them, it will arrive like, as the analogy says, the middle section of Mimar Sinan's bridge with a milestone in the building. And the climate issue here is cited in the 13th goal, and the report last year rings alarm bells already, whether it's human-made or not. Now we are beyond that discussion. Even if climate change is a natural one, we should actually take under control the human related part of it. If we resolve that, then we can resolve the issues related to goal 14 and goal 15, both of which are related to urban structures. And considering that 1/4 of the global population can possibly suffer from water-related issues, then it will be important to resolve to. I refer to 15 goals in general terms, but we cannot reach or achieve them without a minimum understanding of justice, without a minimum understanding of corporate structures at national and international levels. So here we look at Syria, and we cannot talk about sharing resources in a human way. People only focus on their survival naturally, rather than saving their planet. That's why, on a global scale, in the northern and southern axis, we need to overcome these imbalances. And having a 100% sustainable Norway or Finland will not help the world survive, while 800 million people are starving in Africa or are deprived of decent living conditions. However, we refer to 16 goals. How many of them can Turkey resolve by itself? Or how many of them can be handled by Norway or private industry organization? We need to overcome this idea of taking the initiative by itself. We need to ensure that all these 17 icons representing goals need to be regarded as the words of a sentence that are interconnected. I agree with Mr. Musa. We cannot separate these goals from each other. If anyone finds a goal related to them, then they should associate their goal with other ones. And here, Turkey, I would like to greet the business world of Turkey. They need to be well prepared. That would be my kind request. Actually, we have also talked about current issues, which we have resolved. But if you want to be one step ahead, we need to come up with a water-related solution, as we already know what to do with carbon. So in agricultural areas, 20 years ago, the water would be visible in 70 meters, and now it can be accessed in 150 meter depth, 200 meter depth. And here the agricultural companies, industrial companies are still exploiting from them. They need to benefit from these water resources in an efficient way. Turkey in the Mediterranean, Turkey, when you consider the Mediterranean, Southeastern Europe, and surrounding areas, face the actually harshest amount of droughts. And we need to work on all these aspects. There are very valuable presentations. In a nutshell, I can say that the sustainability related issues actually leads to 2.5 billion results. But when you Google it in Turkish, you pages. Considering that they cannot all be related to sustainability, we should focus on this. I don't know how this will be translated into English, but we should ensure that finding the right piece of information in this haystack will help us acquire a position in terms of sustainability that will also help us benefit from time savings. If we keep up with these sustainability phenomena trends, we'll be successful. Otherwise, we are going to pay a huge debt. This is a very critical phenomenon for all of us. So we need to have this approach of human-focused understanding. And I would like to wish all the best to ZeroBuild, and I would urge everyone to have an open vision, think in the long term, and make healthy and conscientious assessments. And stability isn't something global, something local, it's global. We should own up to it all together. I think that would be all from my side. I do not mean to exceed the amount of time allocated to me. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity, Ms. Yasemin. And thank you to other participants.
Teşekkür ederiz. Bizlere güzel bir pencere daha açtınız aslında.
Thank you very much. You opened a new horizon for us because, as you said, it's a process. For a long time, when we focus on a certain subject, then we become blind, as we are too focused and too concentrated. So it is important to look back and to have a collective evaluation. This is of utmost value for us. Thank you very much. Thank you. Jurora is the co-editor-in-chief of Journal of Cleaner Production, and he's from the Brno University of Technology and he's the head of the Lab of Sustainable Integrated Laboratory. And in process, he's a process engineer. He's working as a process engineer in Proşensal. So he's going to talk about the circular economy, footprint, sustainability, and emissions. He's going to make his presentation in this regard.
Demes is the head of the Sustainable Process Integration Laboratory within the Center New Technologies for Mechanical Engineering at the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering at the Brno University in Technology in the Czech Republic. He is also an emeritus professor at the Center for Process Systems Engineering and Sustainability of Pázmány Péter Catholic University in Hungary. Today, Professor Jerome Clemens will give us a keynote speech on circular economy, footprints, emissions, and sustainability related to zero energy buildings. Sayın hocamızın bir videosu olacak.
He will have a video, so he has some problem with the internet, and we will going to share the video with you right now.
Okay, fine. Welcome to the presentation about circular economy, footprints, emissions, and sustainability related to zero energy building. I'm very happy to be invited, and because I was given just 15 minutes, it will be a little bit fast, but I'll do my best. Next slide, please. This is my team. As you can see, it's very multinationally. We are researchers from many countries around the world and many different nationalities. As been mentioned, I am one of editors of Journal of Cleaner Production. It is a huge journal. It is one of top 15 Elsevier, which is leading publisher in the world, has been presenting. Last year, we received more than 30,000 papers. Can you imagine 30,000 if you divided it by months, a day, and so on? For this reason, we are able to publish only cream of the cream, and the rejection rate is huge. But we are happy with this with this huge amount. The impact factor is very good. And this is the family of journals. And I would like to invite everybody from Turkey to contribute. Those are open access journals, and at the beginning they haven't been paid. To my presentation, footprints and circular economy. Circular economy is a very hot topic, and many scientists, media, and politicians are using the word. But this is a graphical introduction of what is meant by circular economy. As you can see, we can't be never fully circular. This planet is receiving constantly energy from the sun, which we are using, but we should use it as efficiently enough and minimize especially the waste. and the waste, which means emissions, effluents, and all other outcomes. What is the measurement of sustainability? It's been introduced the so-called footprints, and footprints are based on life cycle assessment and have been fully quantified. And I believe that everybody, politicians, media, scientists, should look not for vague verbal description, but quantified footprints. And it means carbon emissions, water, energy, emission, nitrogen, exergy, and also plastic waste. This is on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side are footprints which are more related to societal issues. It includes social footprint, ecological footprints, financial footprints, economic footprints, and so on. Sustainable development should be in the goals. And as you can see, buildings are a very important part of it. But we shouldn't consider just buildings on its own. We should consider buildings related to the city, to the society, to the human needs. And in this case, the Zero Building conference is very important, but I would like to stress not to focus on building only, but also on buildings. And this is a striking slide. If you can see the energy in one of the most advanced economy, US, and on the left-hand side, you've got the sources of energy of the US, and on the right-hand side, you've got how the energy is used. And to my shock, when I analyzed it, 2/3 of energy generated in the US is actually lost, is wasted in transmission, in conversion, it's wasted as low potential heat. And it is in all countries, including Turkey. So I suggest strongly everybody to look beside the detailed issues to this general issue. What are the new opportunities and emerging development? It has been very much facilitated by the running pandemic, by COVID-19. Actually, each pandemic is good for something. It brings a lot of problem, crisis, suffering, but always initiates the best brains to find a solution. And many solutions will stay with us in the future. And you've got on this slide some mentioned e-shopping, e-socializing, data transmission, very important urban and sanitary reforms, which are closely related to buildings, health monitoring, also the so-called smart cities with commuting until 15 minutes, and many others. But energy consumption on digitalization and Internet of Things is also huge. It can save energy, it can save a lot of energy, but on the other hand, it consumes energy. And this is an example of CO2 footprint of various human activities compared to artificial intelligence. And the bar on the very right is energy needed for training artificial intelligence model. And because the number of parameters are huge, and in this case, the amount of energy is very much needed. We will need a lot of global mobile data traffic. It's based on mobile phones, but data transmission. You can see the demand for 5G, but pandemic shown us that we will need next innovation step. We will need 6G, and 6G would be the smart cities, smart homes. This is very important for zero emission homes to be smart. And those are waves of innovation, which started from a very, very long time ago in 18th century with water, steam, coal, electricity, oil and gas, digital networks. And now it was triggered by COVID-19 pandemic. And you can see what all this brought. Environmental footprints of virtual communication can be huge. I don't know how popular in Turkey is Netflix, but you can see because of huge popularity in the US and Western countries, it consumes a lot of energy. When we consider greenhouse gas emissions per one person, it gives a little bit surprising figures. Actually, the most emissions per person is generating Saudi Arabia. The second are US, very, very high. It has got Canada, South Korea, quite substantial, also Iran, and China. China per one person is not so high. What is the big problem for buildings? Is cooling, heating. Heating is actually not so where it never been used. I lived a long time in the UK, where summer is usually one afternoon, but nowadays new buildings got air conditioners, and it creates enormous peaks of energy in the summer. Focus it very much. Another issue are PM, particle matters. And particle matters are a result of burning fuel, but also many other human activities. And they include micro and nanoplastics. And if you look how many people are dying for this reason, problems, this is the list this conference should deal with. But they are not all. I am sure that you will in detail look in each of those issues during the conference and open some more. I would like to stress at least some of them, and zero energy building can be very efficient nowadays, but the major problem is ventilation and health problems. And here a key issue are heat exchangers for heat recuperation, still keeping ventilation, and especially with COVID, we need to change the air very frequently. And this is a challenge for zero energy building. So look also for the different compact heat exchangers. And this is an interesting passive building which was constructed in Siberia, and I've seen it. And it's been passive up to minus 20 degrees Celsius. And the major issue is actually the ground, because it's built on permafrost, which is something which is in far north, very, very normal. And this is the key issue for zero energy building, plus ventilation. Because if you've got around minus 20, it's a problem. Some nice ideas for buildings are so-called green roofs. And this is what I've seen in Singapore. And I think we should consider for buildings not only energy, but also water. And huge cities got a problem with water. So Singapore went even more. Those are gardens on the move. Those are buses, those are bus stops, bus shelters, which got green roofs. However, in Singapore, it's easy because it's a lot of rain. But probably in some part other worlds, it would be problem. And finally, renewables. Which renewables are the cleanest and the safest? And I took this from our world in data, and surprisingly, of course, not surprisingly, coal and gas, oil and gas are difficult. But on the other hand, if we consider safety and emissions, greenhouse emissions, very, very good are the traditional renewables, but also nuclear energy. And I believe that Turkey is building some nuclear power plant. And allow me, I'm in controversy with some other scientists that nuclear energy is very important for the future. So this is the end of my 15 minutes. I am very happy to invite you for at least you can come in person, but you can come virtually to our process integration conference and follow up Sustainable Process Integration Laboratory Scientific Conference. We are making conferences as twins to minimize the footprint. And the last slide is acknowledgement to European Union supported project, which is funding our research in this field. I am inviting all Turkish partners for collaboration. We already got a collaboration with several universities, and we are looking to make it deeper and more extensive. You are most welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Clemens, for this presentation, and it was better to hear it from your voice, definitely. Şimdi az bir vaktimiz kaldı.
We have a very short time. There are two questions from the audience. I'd like to ask these two questions. One question is to Murat Bayram. So, in the objectives of zero buildings, there will be the awareness raising activities until 2030. What is the stage of this awareness raising activities? Can you give us some information regarding that? And the approximately zero energy buildings, what kind of a taxation activity that you are carrying out? These are two questions directed to you. Thank you very much. These questions are always on the agenda. Regarding the awareness raising, we are preparing documents, and we share these documents in our websites. And with the NGOs, we make some protocols, and we have regional meetings, and we gather together with the experts, and we are trying to explain how this awareness raising activities will be conducted. And we also organize and hold some trainings. So in these trainings, we want these subjects to be touched upon. And we will start our activities with green certificate. It's not only about explaining this subject, but we will give information about the ensuring sustainability so that the specialists and experts can work together. I mean, the mechanical engineer, the construction engineer, they're not only related to that, the operators also should gather together for the design of the building, for the construction, and for the certification of the building. We're trying to raise awareness in these subjects, and we have different scenarios in this regard. We first look at ourselves. So what we do is that as ministry, we have our organization in 81 provinces with the provincial directorates, and every year related to to these activities, we are trying to provide some trainings. However, after the pandemic with 2022, we will restart our activities, and we will continue our trainings. And of course, our experts, we have in our DG of professional services, there are some documents that our experts can reach, and also investors and in the sector representatives, they can also have an access to from our citizens to the producers. We have some we are preparing, trying to prepare some guidelines for all this target audience for taxation, for incentives. Regarding that, there are some certain tasks given in the communique, and there have been some activities, and all of the possibilities are taken into account, but we haven't made much progress. The taxation or incentive is not an activity that one organization all alone can decide. There are different institutions, different scenarios in this regard, but personally speaking, so rather than reducing it to the incentives or the taxation, this is something that we have to do. We have to do for our future. All of the speakers are saying the same thing. The sustainability, the climate crisis, these issues should be taken into account. Rather than incentives, we have to push certain things, I believe. And of course, this is going to be shaped in the future, in time. Unfortunately, if you make your building sustainable, we will give incentives, or if not, we will not give you incentives. Rather than then, so it should be you have to do that, and if you are not doing it, we will not allow it. This must be the rationale, I believe. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your kind answer. So we are at the end of the inauguration session of the ZeroBuild 2021, and of course there are such good information provided in this session. We would like to thank each and every one of you, and thank you very much for collaborating with us. Thank you, and greetings and respect.